My name is Vivian Harlow. I am 31 years old, and I called off my own wedding with a single Instagram post. If you met me on paper, you would probably think I was the safe choice. I work as a software engineering manager, make about $160,000 a year, own a 2-bedroom condo. In the city, drive a reliable, not flashy car, and have enough in savings that my financial planner smiles when we meet. I am not private jet rich, but I am comfortable, stable, predictable. That is how my fiancé's family liked to describe me when they thought I could not hear. Stable, predictable, the rich one. I had been with Adam Carter for 4 years, engaged for 1. We met when we were both still climbing in our careers. Back then, we split bills, celebrated promotions with cheap champagne, and argued over who got to pick the Netflix show. Somewhere along the way, my career took off a little faster than his. Raises promotion stock. Suddenly, I was the one with the bigger salary and the paid-off car and the condo in my name. Adam's mother laughed the first time she found out what I made. "Adam, you really landed a good one," she said, patting his arm. "Do not mess this up. Women like Vivian do not come around twice." It was meant as a joke. It did not feel like one. By the time we got engaged, it was just assumed I would pay for most of the wedding. And I did, without really questioning it. The venue deposit, the catering, the band, the photographer, the flowers. About $45,000. All told carefully tracked in spreadsheets and shared folders. Adam and his family handled decorations, showers, bachelor, and bachelorette trips, the fun stuff. 2 weeks before the wedding, Adam left for a long bachelor weekend at some beach resort with his groomsmen. Photos started rolling in of golf carts, hotel pools, shots lined up on sticky bar counters. He kissed my forehead at the airport, promised to text me each night, and said, "Next time we fly together, we will be husband and wife." I stayed home. I had a product launch coming up at work, and the idea of babysitting a group of drunk men in matching t-shirts made me want to lie down. Besides, I trusted Adam, or I thought I did. Thursday night, I was in bed with my laptop closed, my brain still buzzing from code reviews and budget meetings. I opened Instagram on autopilot the way you do when you are too tired to think but not tired enough to sleep. Mindless scrolling dogs, recipes a girl from high school doing yoga on a mountain. Then a story popped up from Liam, one of Adam's groomsmen. Liam was the loud one of the group, perpetually half-drunk, always telling stories that made the room secondhand uncomfortable, the kind of man who thought calling women chicks was charming. I almost skipped past his little circle at the top of the screen, but my thumb hesitated when I saw the hotel bar in the first frame. Tap. The first video showed Adam and his friends at a crowded bar, shouting along to some song I could not quite hear. The second was a blurry shot of tequila shots being slammed back. Normal bachelor party chaos. My chest tightened a little, but I kept watching. Then there was the last frame. A photo, not a video this time. Adam sitting on a bar stool, his hair damp with sweatshirt, half unbuttoned. Next to him, practically in his lap, was a woman I had never seen before. Her dress was short, her arm was looped around his neck, and his hand was on her thigh. The caption across the top of the screen read, "Last night with his side girl before he locks down the rich one. Gotta have your cake and eat it too." Underneath, he had tagged Adam and 2 of the other groomsmen. For a second, I honestly thought my eyes were playing a trick on me. I read it again. And again. The words did not change. Side girl. Locks down the rich one. Cake and eat it too. My brain did the thing where it zooms in and out at the same time. I felt like I was watching someone else's life. Some stranger's fiancé with some stranger's side girl. Then my name flashed in my head the way it appeared on our invitations, Vivian Harlow and Adam Carter. I was the rich one. My thumb moved before the rest of me caught up. Screenshot. Another one. A third, just in case. I knew it would not last. Men like Liam might be sloppy, but they were not stupid. I refreshed the story. Gone. Maybe 20 seconds had passed from the time I saw it to the time it disappeared. Long enough. I stared at the photo frozen on my camera roll, the little icons at the top showing Adam's tagged handle. My heart was beating so hard my hands shook. The room felt too quiet, as if the walls were waiting to see what I would do. The first impulse was obvious call Adam. Demand an explanation. Ask who she was, why his hand was on her leg, why his friend thought this was a joke that the world needed to see. My finger hovered over his contact. Then I heard my father's voice in my head, the way it sounded years ago, when his own divorce papers were still fresh. "Once you know the truth," he said, staring into his coffee. "Pretending you do not just makes you a fool twice." I put my phone down. Instead, I opened my laptop and clicked into the shared wedding folder. The spreadsheet was still color-coded and neat the way I liked it. Tabs for vendors. Guest list. Budget timeline. Next to each vendor's name was my note deposit amount balance due cancellation terms. My cursor hovered over the first one, Riverside Hall, venue. I opened our email thread and started typing. Hi, due to unforeseen circumstances, I need to cancel our wedding booking on date. Please confirm the final amount owed under the terms of our contract and apply the deposit accordingly. Copy, paste, paste again. I moved methodically down the list. Venue, caterer, photographer, band, florist. With each email, the shape of my future shifted. I could see the numbers adding up in the back of my mind. The venue was already non-refundable at this point, $12,000 gone. The catering contract said 50% if canceled within 30 days. The band and florist would keep their deposits. The photographer would keep hers. By the time I finished, my rough mental math told me I was about to lose between $22,000 and $25,000. I closed my eyes, inhaled, and let that number sit in my chest. Cheaper than marrying a man who slept with someone else on his bachelor trip. When the last email was sent, I opened Instagram again, this time not to scroll, but to post. I chose the clearest screenshot of Liam's story. Adam on the bar stool, the woman draped over him. The caption about his side girl and the rich one sharp and undeniable. Then I started tagging. Family. My friends. His friends. Co-workers who had already bought plane tickets. People who had RSVP'd, yes. Everyone who mattered enough to see me in a wedding dress in 2 weeks. For the caption I typed, "Wedding is off. See above for why. I am sorry to everyone who made plans or bought gifts. The groom can explain the rest." I read it 3 times. I thought about softening it, about saying we decided or things did not work out. Then I thought about the woman in the photo, the hand on her thigh, and the way my future mother-in-law called me the rich one like a walking investment account. No. I hit post. For a moment, nothing happened. The photo sat on my screen, a square little bomb, the caption beneath it clean and simple. My hands were still shaking when I locked my phone and set it face down on the nightstand. I turned it off altogether after that. No buzzing, no notifications, no chance for anyone else's version of the story to reach me before I could breathe. I expected the adrenaline to keep me awake all night. I expected to pace a groove into my bedroom floor to replay every conversation with Adam, every almost forgettable red flag, every time his friends joked about one last wild ride. Instead, I lay down on my side of the bed we had shared until he moved to his parents' place for the weeks leading up to the wedding for tradition, and stared at the ceiling. For the first time in months, there was no knot in my stomach about his late replies, no anxious calculation about whether I was being needy or crazy for wanting reassurance. I whispered my father's words into the dark. Once you know the truth. Sometime between that sentence and the next thought, my body decided for me. I fell asleep, and I slept like a person who had finally stopped lying to herself. When I turned my phone back on, the next morning, it nearly vibrated itself off the counter. Notifications poured in so fast the screen lagged. For a moment, I just stared at it while the coffee machine hissed behind me, as if the universe was giving me a few seconds to brace myself before the impact. By the time everything loaded, the numbers were almost comical, dozens of missed calls from Adam, nearly 20 from his mother, several from his father and sister, and hundreds of texts and DMs stacked in long, unreadable columns. I hadn't even touched my mug yet, and the day already felt like a storm was blowing straight through me. The first voicemail I opened was from his mother. Her voice blasted so loudly I had to pull the phone away from my ear. "Vivian, how dare you do this to my son? You call me back immediately. Immediately." The next was from his father demanding an explanation this minute. Then his sister Alyssa shouting that it was just a joke and that I needed to delete the post instantly. Then Adam's messages began coming through in one frantic chain. They started confused, asking what was going on, then quickly shifted into anger, then begging, then threats to come over if I didn't pick up. It was every emotional stage except accountability. I set the phone down and let the rest pour in without reading them. One voicemail stopped me in my tracks. It came from Liam, the groomsman, who had posted the story, the timestamp showing it had been left around 3 a.m. The moment I played it, I knew he was drunk before he even finished the first word. His voice wavered and slurred, the kind that always gets followed by an apology no one asked for. "Vivian, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for you to see that. I was wasted. It was supposed to be a joke. Well, not a joke, but like, everyone knew." You weren't supposed to see it. Look, Adam loves you, okay? He does. The side girl thing is real, but it's not serious. It's just for fun. Everybody does it. Please don't ruin his life over this. I felt something inside me flatten like a piece of me that had been clinging to the possibility of misunderstanding finally went quiet. It wasn't the drunken rambling that mattered. It was the honesty underneath it, the kind only people reveal when their guard is gone. I saved the voicemail, backed it up to my cloud, then emailed it to myself twice. I wasn't going to risk it disappearing like the Instagram story had. Then an unknown number called. I picked up without thinking and immediately regretted it. "What have you done to my son?" Adam's mother screamed, skipping any greeting. "Do you have any idea what you've caused?" I ended the engagement, I said, keeping my voice steadier than I felt. "Your son cheated." "That post was a joke, a drunk, stupid joke. You have humiliated him over nothing." If it was nothing, I asked quietly. "Why did Liam delete it 20 seconds after he posted it?" Silence. For the first time since she started screaming, there was a pause long enough for me to hear my own breathing. I almost ended the call there, but she jumped back in. "You have no proof that Adam cheated. A caption doesn't prove anything." "I have Liam's voicemail," I said. "The one he left at 3 this morning. The one where he admits everything." Another long silence. When she finally spoke again, her voice was colder. "You'll regret this. We spent thousands on this wedding. You are paying us back every cent." "I already paid $45,000, I replied, "and the cancellation fees are going to cost me another 22 or 25. Your daughter-in-law-to-be can keep her dress. You're welcome to sue me if you want." I hung up. I spent the next few hours confirming cancellations. Most vendors were sympathetic in that hushed, gentle way people get when they don't want to ask questions, but already understand too much. The venue manager actually set down his clipboard, looked me in the eye, and said he wasn't charging the additional cancellation fee because I had been through enough already. The caterer resisted the contract terms until I pointed to the exact clause, then backed down. I watched the cost tally up in real-time deposits I'd never see again, percentages swallowed by policies I'd signed months ago, the financial aftermath of a future I no longer wanted. I thought the worst was over until I received an email from a law office representing Adam's family. They demanded reimbursement for every wedding-related cost they felt I had fraudulently induced, from his mother's dress to the bridal shower decorations to the groomsmen's weekend expenses. They accused me of emotional damage, defamation, and public humiliation. I forwarded it to my friend from law school with a single question. "Now what?" He called me back almost immediately, laughing so hard he could barely breathe. "This is the funniest thing I've read all year," he said. "They're serious, right?" "Dead serious." "Then tell them to kick rocks. I'll draft the response. Pro bono." Because I'm absolutely not missing this circus. I sank into my couch after the call, exhausted phone still buzzing distantly across the room. It felt like everything was happening too fast and too loudly. But beneath that chaos, there was also a strange kind of clarity, like I had stepped out of a long, foggy hallway and was finally able to see a door closing behind me. For the first time since waking up, I exhaled. My lawyer friend's email response went out that same afternoon, cold and professional, telling Adam's family politely but firmly to stop contacting me and that their claims had no legal foundation whatsoever. For a few hours afterward, my phone stayed surprisingly quiet. I almost let myself believe the storm was passing. Then, early evening, my doorbell rang. At first, I thought it was a package. I even walked toward the door casually, still in my sweats, coffee in hand. But when I checked the doorbell camera, Adam was standing there on the landing, shoulders slumped, eyes swollen. His hair a wreck, like he'd been clawing at it all day. He looked nothing like the man in that bachelor party photo. No bravado, no swagger, just a frantic, almost panicked kind of energy. He knocked once, then twice, then harder. "Vivian," he called out, trying to sound calm but failing miserably. "I know you're in there. We need to talk." I didn't open the door. Instead, I pressed the intercom. "There's nothing to talk about," I said. He froze for a second, looking directly at the camera. "You can't just throw away 4 years like this." "You threw it away," I said. "Not me." "That wasn't Vivian. Listen. It was one mistake. One night. You're really ending everything over that." The words hit me like a splash of cold water. He hadn't even denied it this time. Not the way an innocent man would. Not the way someone who was truly blindsided would. My stomach tightened. "So you're admitting you cheated?" "That's not what I said." He dragged a hand through his hair and stepped closer to the door. "We were basically on a break." "No," I said. We were engaged, living together until last month, planning a wedding. We were not on a break. You're being ridiculous, he snapped, his voice suddenly sharp. Relationships are about forgiveness. You're supposed to fight for us. I'm supposed to marry someone who respects me, I said. And that's not you. Leave Adam. He kept pacing in front of the door, talking to himself, shaking his head, reaching for the handle, even though he knew it was locked. After another minute, he sank to the floor, leaning against the door with both palms pressed flat against it. I'm not leaving, he said. Not until you talk to me face to face like an adult. Then I'm calling the police. He blinked, and for a second he looked like he thought I was bluffing. I wasn't. It took the officers less than 15 minutes to arrive. From inside my condo, I watched through the peephole as Adam scrambled to his feet, brushing at his clothes, as if that would erase the last half hour. The officers talked to him first, then one came to speak with me. Ma'am, he said gently, he told us you're engaged. We were, I said. Past tense. I ended the engagement when I discovered he cheated. I've told him multiple times not to contact me. He came here anyway. Can you show me where you told him not to contact you? I handed him my unlocked phone texts open to the right thread. He scrolled once, nodded, and handed it back. Understood. Then he turned to Adam. Sir, she has clearly asked you not to contact her. You need to leave. If you come back here again, she can file for a restraining order. Adam looked stunned, like someone had slapped him across the face. He opened his mouth to argue, but the officer shut it down with one firm look. Eventually, Adam backed away, muttering something under his breath, and walked down the hall. The moment the door closed, my body trembled so hard I had to sit down on the couch. I thought that would be the end of the physical confrontations, at least. But the next morning, while I was at work reviewing design mock-ups with my team, security called my desk. Vivian. There's a man here insisting he needs to see you. Says he's your father-in-law. My heart dropped. No, I said immediately. He's not. Well, he's refusing to leave. By the time I got downstairs, Adam's father was in the lobby, red-faced, shouting at the poor security guard who was trying to remain professional. The second he spotted me, he turned and pointed. There you are, he barked. Too much of a coward to face me, huh? There's nothing to face, I said, keeping my distance. Tell your son to stop contacting me. You humiliated our entire family, he yelled, stepping toward me. My wife can't show her face at church. My son is on medication because of you. That's unfortunate, I said, staying calm. But your son made choices. Those are the consequences. He scoffed. We spent thousands on that wedding. And you destroyed all of it. Your lawyer sent a demand letter, I said. Mine responded. Sue me if you want. You'll lose. His face twisted with fury. You arrogant little... Sir, the security guard finally intervened, stepping between us. You need to leave, now, or we're involving the police. Adam's father glared at me like he wanted to memorize my face and burn it into memory out of spite. Then he jabbed a finger toward me. This isn't over. Then he stormed out. It should have ended there. But within the next couple of days, I started getting messages from unknown numbers, insults, threats, voice notes dripping with entitlement and cruelty. Some told me I'd die alone. Others told me Adam deserved better. One woman, probably a cousin or distant relative, told me I had ruined a good man's future. I filed a police report, not because I thought anything would come of it, but because at this point the documentation mattered. Then, as if the week hadn't been surreal enough, my lawyer called again. So, they went through with it. Went through with what? Filing the lawsuit. Small claims. $12,000. That's the max they can try for. I let out a humorless laugh. For what exactly? Oh, everything he said. Wedding dress, bachelorette trips, shoes, invitations. Basically anything they can think of. Can they win? He clicked his pen against something on his end of the line. Hell no. But you need to show up. Bring the screenshot. The voicemail. The texts. Everything. He paused. And mentally prepare. Families like this don't go quietly. He wasn't wrong. And the worst part, this whole saga was just getting started. Court day arrived exactly 6 weeks after the bachelor party photo detonated my life. I woke up strangely calm, like my body had finally accepted we were walking into a circus and decided to conserve energy. I dressed neatly, printed every piece of evidence, tucked it into a folder, and met my lawyer friend outside the courthouse. He looked like he was attending a comedy show, not a legal proceeding. Inside the small claims courtroom, Adam's entire family filled one side of the benches like they were attending a graduation. Parent, sister, grandmother, 2 aunts, and uncle. Their faces were tight, angry muscles, clenched in synchronized disapproval. I sat with my lawyer on the other side, just the two of us, a painfully quiet island. Our case was called. Adam's father stood up immediately, puffing his chest, carrying himself like a man who believed outrage equaled righteousness. The judge asked him to explain why they were suing for $12,000. My son's fiance, canceled their wedding less than 2 weeks before the date. He said, "We paid for dresses, showers, parties, travel invitations, everything. We acted in good faith, and she humiliated us. This is compensation for the financial damage she caused." The judge flipped through the packet they submitted. And why did she cancel the wedding? His father hesitated. There was a disagreement. What kind of disagreement? The judge pressed. "I don't believe my son's personal life should be—" "It's relevant," the judge said. "Why was the wedding canceled?" Adam's father faltered, sweat forming at his hairline. My lawyer stood. "Your Honor, my client discovered evidence that her fiancé had been unfaithful. We have documentation." The judge held out his hand. My lawyer passed him the printed screenshot and the transcribed voicemail. The judge read the screenshot slowly. Then he read the voicemail transcript. His eyebrows lifted halfway through. He looked up. So the judge said, turning back to Adam's father, "Your son was cheating." "That was a joke," the father insisted. "A drunk groomsman making a stupid joke, that's all." The voicemail transcript shows that the groomsman admitted it wasn't a joke, the judge said. He said it was real. "He was intoxicated," Adam's father argued desperately. "You can't take that seriously." The judge closed the folder. If your son was unfaithful, she had the right to end the engagement. You cannot sue someone for refusing to marry a person who cheated on them. "But she posted it publicly," the father blurted. "She humiliated our entire family. My son is in therapy because of what she did." "If your son didn't want people to know about his behavior," the judge said evenly, "he shouldn't have engaged in that behavior. Case dismissed." The gavel didn't slam, it just tapped softly, but it felt like a punchline landing. My lawyer smirked. Adam's father looked like he might burst a blood vessel. We left the courtroom. I thought that was the end of it. But of course it wasn't. In the parking lot, Adam's mother intercepted me like she had been waiting in ambush. "I hope you're satisfied," she hissed. "Pretty satisfied, actually," my lawyer muttered beside me. She ignored him. Her energy was laser-focused on me. "She's on antidepressants now, Vivian. She had to quit her job. She cries every night. You ruined her entire future." "Adam ruined his own future," I said. "I just stopped pretending everything was fine. It was one mistake," she snapped. "Everyone makes mistakes. You were supposed to be the bigger person." "I am being the bigger person," I said. "I'm letting him keep the ring, the gifts, everything. I'm not countersuing for harassment. I'm simply walking away." Alyssa stepped up beside her mother, eyes narrowed, like she thought intimidation worked better when done in pairs. "You're going to regret this," Alyssa said. "No decent man will ever want you after what you did. Everyone knows you're vindictive." My lawyer laughed out loud, which made Alyssa's face flush red. "Lady," he said, "she's gotten over 50 DMs from men, thanking her for having standards. I promise she'll be fine." I didn't correct him, even though the number was closer to mid-30s. It wasn't worth giving Alyssa anything. They stormed off. I tasted the metallic thrill of relief in the back of my throat. A weight lifted, but only briefly. Because 3 weeks after the court victory, I woke up to messages from friends saying, "Have you seen this?" And, "Vivian, is this about you?" Adam, or more likely his mother, had started a blog. The layout looked like any sad lifestyle site, pastel headers, inspirational quotes, overly filtered photos. But the content was a complete rewrite of reality. According to the blog, Adam had been publicly destroyed by a cruel, unstable fiancé who weaponized social media to humiliate him. She claimed he had never cheated, that the caption was a bad joke I seized upon to ruin his life, and that I had stolen months of labor and tens of thousands of dollars from their family. Commenters flooded in with sympathy. "Poor guy. What a nightmare. She sounds psychotic. I hope he sues her again." It spread. Local lifestyle bloggers shared it. A couple of influencers reposted it with captions about internet cruelty. People I didn't know messaged me hateful things. Someone even found my LinkedIn and sent a message to my boss accusing me of emotional abuse and corporate manipulation. I got called into HR. The director closed the door, folded her hands, and said, "We received a concerning message." I had come prepared. I laid out everything: the screenshot, the voicemail, the text, the court judgment, the police report. She listened carefully, then said, "This appears to be retaliation. We'll document it. If anyone else contacts us, we will refer them to legal." It wasn't the stirring defense of my honor I secretly hoped for, but it was solid. It was enough. 6 weeks after it appeared, the blog vanished. No explanation, no farewell post, just gone. But the damage lingered. Articles remained. Think pieces stayed searchable. My name was still tied to the scandal whenever someone Googled me. I thought about deleting my original Instagram post, but my lawyer warned me not to. "It's your evidence," he said. "The second it disappears, they'll claim you fabricated everything." So I left it up, and people still found it, still commented, still argued with each other in the replies. By then, I thought the story might finally be fading from my life. But I didn't know yet that the ending would be the one thing I never expected. 4 months passed before the noise around me finally softened. The scandal stopped feeling like a fresh wound and more like a scar I had learned to stop touching. People still commented on the Instagram post every now and then, little flare-ups in an otherwise quiet landscape. But the desperation, the shock, the ache in my chest whenever someone mentioned Adam, all of that slowly faded. I poured myself back into work. I said yes to more dinners with friends. I even started sleeping through the night again without jolting awake at 3 a.m., convinced someone was banging on my door. It took another couple of months before I felt ready to let myself be curious about dating again. Not excited, not determined, just curious. I met Daniel at a friend's barbecue in the middle of summer. He was a teacher, calm, gentle, with a sense of humor that felt effortless, the kind of man who didn't have to raise his voice to be heard. He didn't know anything about the scandal, and being around someone completely outside that universe felt like stepping onto fresh, clean ground. Our first date was simple coffee on a rainy afternoon. Then a second date wandering through a street market, laughing about how he kept buying snacks he insisted he didn't want. By the third date, something inside me had shifted enough that I realized I wasn't flinching every time my phone buzzed. I wasn't bracing myself for attacks, accusations, or guilt trips. But on our fourth date, reality finally caught up. We were sitting at a little rooftop bar, the kind with dim lights and soft music, and he hesitated before asking something. "So, I feel weird bringing this up," he said, "but someone told me today about a viral wedding post, and that you might be the person in it." My throat tightened, but I didn't panic. I'd rehearsed this moment 100 times in my head. "That was me," I said. He didn't flinch. He just nodded slowly. "Do you want to tell me what happened?" I pulled up the screenshot, the photo, the caption, the voicemail transcript. I told him everything, not with the shaky defensiveness I'd had months ago, but with the calmness that comes from surviving something and knowing you did the right thing. He listened. Arms folded casually, gaze steady on mine. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment, then said, "I'm really sorry you went through that. That must have been awful." It was, I admitted. "But it's over." He hesitated again. "I'll be honest. I don't love the idea of posting something like that online, but I understand why you did. You didn't want him controlling the story." That's exactly why I said. If I hadn't posted it, his family would have rewritten the entire situation. He nodded. "I respect your decision, and I respect that you know your boundaries." He didn't push. He didn't pry. He didn't ask for more than what I offered. It was the first time in a long time that I didn't feel like I had to defend my own sanity. We kept seeing each other, slowly, naturally, without pressure, without the heavy, suffocating expectation of forever hanging over every conversation. Around that time, I heard through mutual friends that Adam had gotten engaged again. A quiet courthouse wedding. No big ceremony, no family feud, no confetti or sunglasses on the beach Bachelor trips. Someone said his mother cried about the simplicity of it. Someone else said she insisted they'd learned from last time. I hoped genuinely that it worked out for him, not out of kindness or nostalgia, but because I no longer cared enough to wish the opposite. As for my Instagram post, it was still there, still public, still gathering the occasional comment from strangers arguing whether I was a hero or a villain. I thought about taking it down several times, especially whenever someone resurfaced the story, just to pick at it like a scab. But my lawyer's voice stayed in my head. "It's your evidence. If it disappears, they'll rewrite the ending." And maybe some endings should remain exactly as they happened. One evening, months after I started seeing Daniel, a comment appeared under the post, buried under hundreds of others, simple and almost too direct. "This isn't revenge. This is self-defense." It struck me harder than I expected, because that was the truth, the real truth. All those months of chaos, lawsuits, accusations, screaming matches, and countless messages trying to paint me as the villain. They all came down to one simple choice I made in the middle of the night, staring at my phone in the dark. I defended my life before I tied it to someone who would have drained it. I lost about $25,000 in deposits and fees. I lost the wedding I had once pictured in detail. I lost a future that in reality had never actually been mine. But I gained something else, something quieter but heavier and worth far more. I gained my self-respect. And I would make that trade every single time.